right, let's get started. These custom names will be an option. I am going to do this in the chain stitch. So in your instructions, you're going to be following number 3, chain stitch. Okay, so this is how you're going to work this. I have a little arrow, and that's going to show where you start. So you're going to begin here. All of these open hole circles is going to be a beginning stitch. You're going to stitch along this line, and each full circle is going to be where you are putting the needle through the fabric to make your chain stitch. And then all of these, they're small, but all of these closed circle with a line through it, that's where you're going to stop. I'm actually going to do this one to show you in depth, but it's going to be the same for any name. Your little name can go under the rainbow. This kit comes with 2 options of fabric. In this example, I used the lighter one, but you do have an option to use the darker one. I would recommend for the name, you can do the darkest colors, which would be this teal color, or the magenta, or you could make it very subtle to match the clouds. And then I will show you how to go about sewing this in chain stitch. So I've already threaded 3 strands. You're going to start at your arrow, come up from below the fabric, pull it all the way, and then you're going to go right back down into that same hole. You want to catch your loop so it doesn't come all the way out. Come up in that first solid dot. I'm going to have it follow that line and then just pull it so it's taut. You're going to go right in the middle of that loop. You want to put your needle in that same spot. So I have that loop at the top. You can catch it larger if you need to. And then you want to bring your needle up through that next dot. Then pull your needle. Make sure it's taut. Perfect. Then you want to go right back in that same hole, middle of your stitch. Okay, catch that loop. We are going to go for that next dot. Continue on doing the same thing. Pull it taut and put your needle right back down into the same hole or close to it. Go to the next dot, bring your thread up, catch that loop, and pull it taut. So you're gonna have this beautiful chain stitch that's going to go around the whole name. So I'll keep continuing and show you how this looks. This name is so cute. I was so excited to do this one. So scoop underneath so that your thread is going through it. Now this sometimes happens. It's not a big deal. So this is an extra thread. It actually was pulled up from the tail behind my knot. Now you could have trimmed that so it's not as long. There you go. And then that shouldn't catch. And it's gonna stand out really nice even if you go with the light cream and you want it to be more subtle. I think this is a nice thick line that it would look really pretty as well. But this name is so cute. I want it to stand out. So I'm using that teal. I also want to make sure you can see what I'm doing a little easier. So I'm going on to my next dot. Putting that loop over and pulling it through. Okay. Now I twist it around as I go. It's just easier for me. Feel free to do that as well. It's a little tip. And take your time with this. I embroidery is just so sweet. I always try to think about how long I'm gonna want to keep this, and it helps me slow down knowing that for many years I'm gonna want this to hang on the wall or gift it to someone, and I don't want to just rush through it. It always helps slow me down a little bit. It's a solid dot with a line through it, and then your next starting point is going to be that open dot. So to finish this, close this off in a chain stitch, you want to go up through that last point. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to catch your loop, pull it taut, and instead of going back in through this loop, instead of doing that, you want to go back down in through the fabric right outside of it. And that's going to lock this in. Now we have our C for Charlotte. So yeah, so I'm not going to cut this thread or anything. I'm just going to start again from this open hole, and I'm going to follow this line all the way to the closed hole right here in front of the A. This one, I think we should, right at the bottom here, we are going to use an end, like an anchor, right in there. And we're locking it there because we're changing direction, basically. Go to the next spot. And what's really cool about this is I've seen a lot of really sweet custom named sweaters, and they literally use this chain stitch just the way we're doing it, but much larger and with yarn instead of thread. So this is definitely, this chain stitch is worth learning, and then you can make some really cool custom things for your friends, for your baby. Just gonna end it there. So this is my last stitch on this go, and we're gonna end it. So make sure you put your needle in on the outside of that last chain. Okay, so we have CH. A begins here, and we're gonna do that circle around and up. Then we're gonna go down, gonna do the R and almost the entire L before we stop. We're trying to avoid overlapping, so I'm gonna do that L to this point, and then I'll show you how that looks. The A is gonna start right about here. Because we're switching direction, we're going up and then down, I'm going to put an end stitch right outside of that one. And then I'm gonna come back up right below it to finish off that A. Put your needle in the same hole to make that chain loop. We're gonna do that end piece right there, then come up in the same hole. Put your needle back down. You're gonna do one stitch across for the R. We finished the stitch off here because we're gonna go over and then down. So I'm just gonna go the same hole, come up, go back down in that same or similar spot, go to the edge of that R, pull it taut, and because this one is also turning, you're gonna have that stitch on the outside that locks it, and then come back up through that middle, back down through the middle of that chain. At any point when you're not sure if it's switching direction or not, it's never going to hurt to close that chain stitch and start again. Hope that light helps you see a little better to show what I'm doing. It's a little bit of a rainy day today. I was hoping the window light would be enough, but I want to make sure you see what I'm doing so that you can make your own. This is looping around, so I'm going to continue. It doesn't feel like I'm switching direction and going the other way. Okay, we have 2 more stitches before we stop this chain and start another one. Okay, this is the end chain. We're just gonna go right next to where the bottom of the L. Pull that loop over, pull it taut, and then lock it in, going on the outside of that loop instead of the inside. So that's the top of the L. It looks so cute. Then we're gonna begin down here. And this one's gonna be short because we have another crossover in the E. So we are just gonna come up from below the L, like that. Go in the same hole. Begin the E right here. We're gonna have that little space for the chain to go through without overlapping. Work our way to the top of the T. To make that E. This is closer to the turn of the L and the C, so we don't need to bind off any of these yet. You'll just keep turning. Okay, and the top of both T's are endpoints. Pull that loop taut and then lock it in by going to the outside instead of the inside. Perfect. We're gonna cross the T at the end. So next I'm going to skip right down to this bottom entry point and go back up this T. Then we have one more to do before we cross the T's. So this one you're going to make that end stitch. So you're gonna lock that in. And I'm actually going to, I could probably get away with finishing this on this thread, but just to show you and make it a little easier, now that I've closed that, I'm gonna turn this over. I always go below one of the last stitches and then go in that loop just to knot it, and I'll do that twice. So I'll go the other way this time. So just go underneath one of your stitches and then go underneath one of your loops, pull it. Then you can trim it and rethread with the other 3 strands. Already I had threaded the needle with a fresh strand. These are 3 strands together. The T starts here and ends here. So we're gonna come up from below the fabric at our beginning spot. I'm gonna go down in that same spot or right next to it. Catch that loop at your chain marker. Pull it taut back in through the same hole. Make sure you catch your loop. 2 more stitches. You can eyeball it a little bit. You're going to go to your end stitch. And instead of going through in the middle, you want to lock it on the outside. But we're going to start here and we are going to go all the way across. It's the same stitch. So make that loop. Pull it taut. Go back in the same spot. Just continue following that line. Yeah. Great. Yeah, if you wanted it extra long, you could keep going. But that last one, you want to lock it in on the outside. And then underneath, pick anywhere you can. Thread your needle below. And then go through one of your loops. Do a similar thing. I like to do it twice and then I trim it short. And then we're gonna wet this to take this sticky pattern off and you'll get to see Charlotte. Here's what it looks like after you wet the fabric and get the sticky guide off. Once it dries, it'll look even lighter, but that's the tutorial on how to put a custom name on your rainbow embroidery.